MuseScore layout. This is part 3. Layout features can get pretty in depth, and because music is complex and every score piece is slightly different, I'm just going to go ahead and show some basic stuff with this, and then this one will get a little more advanced, and then definitely part 4 I'll be getting a bit more advanced and maybe showing when you need to break rules to get things to work. So a little bit about me. Been an educator for 33 years. And I live off of MuseScore pretty much. I also live off of Dorico at times. And basically, to keep my job afloat, I have to change parts and all that. I'm glad I like doing that. Things have changed immensely. Also, if you're new here, I've created a piano method book, and that was learning really a whole other instrument as far as engraving goes and getting publisher details and all that. But let's go to layout. We're going to go down to the bottom here, where it's usually under palettes at the bottom, and we have a downspacer. Last time mine disappeared, but the downspacer is that. You're gonna go ahead, press your mouse, and then you keep the mouse down, and then you're gonna anchor to a staff. So I'm gonna go to flute 2 there. Watch what happens. Everything goes down. And yes, there's a lot of instruments there, so MuseScore has to make room. That's what that does. You can go ahead and check that out. There are instances where you might like that depending on what you're creating and all that. I'll just do it from flute 1. So you get it anchored at the top of a staff to get it to move. And now everything will move except for flute 1. All right, so one learner asked me, because I teach composition too, about, well, how about if I can just move the whole staff down? Well, as you can tell, I just highlighted the melody. Excuse me, not the melody, it says medley, the title in that box here. I can move that down if I like. I don't get too carried with that. All right, the next thing I wanted to review is the vertical frame. This is a score, so when I chuck the vertical frame, it doesn't have anywhere to go, so it's probably gonna go at the bottom, and that means most of the music's gonna move to the second page. So I'm gonna anchor it there. Remember, the vertical frame as well as horizontal frame, you can only anchor at the top. So if I put that there, oh cool, it went there because I was probably behaving well. So here I can go ahead and move this down. So why would I do that versus the melody as far as clicking on the melody? Well, you might need to add in some information, and you might want to just keep things where they are. Every time we're moving something, there's going to be a response. So right now, we gave ourselves a little more room and the title's not moving. That is a good use. Now that's vertical, but when we look at it, we're seeing it like this. It's vertical because the way it's going down and up, okay? So I'm gonna delete that. Now the next one is really useful, and this is where you should use a break if you have a coda or something like that. So now I'm gonna go to horizontal frame. And what I'm gonna do is just go to the second measure here. And I'm gonna let go, and then you have this nice separate look here. And that's so important depending on what you're doing, but definitely for codas and whatnot. Let's say if you wanna make it a little smaller, you can just take your arrow key and move it like that. You can, if you want, you can really like make collisions if you're into that. Probably not, unless if you're writing exercise. Now I have the arrow key down going to the right, so I'm making a lot of space there. Super useful. We are going to go into, I talked about the text tool, and text in itself could be a video, and how I got rid of that is just good old delete. I'm going to go down to the bottom of layout, and if I click on more, I think I have all the toys up front. I do. So you might need certain things. This one is an insert staff type change, which gets kind of a bad rap, but it's really awesome if you know how to use it. I'm going to give one example. Let's just go to there now. I'm going to, again, my mouse, and I'm going to go to the top part of the flute. Boom, nothing happens. So it says staff change, type staff change. So this can do a lot of different things. I'm going to go and give you an example of making a cue part. If I could get $1, including myself, for every time I pressed Command A, or actually Shift and then arrow to highlight a whole part, and some of us have pieces that are 300 plus measures long, this is going to be a time saver. So what I want to do is take flute 1 just for kicks and make it a melody cue. What I'm going to do is I'm going to double click on that so it's blue. And I don't know if I have to double click, I don't know. Yeah, I'm old, but you just click on it so it's blue. And then I'm going to go to properties. All right, so I'm just going to go to staff type changes. Just going to, for this sake of the video, I'm going to click cue size, and boom, it all changed. So you are saving yourself some big time. I'd recommend playing with it. We're used to taking a layout tool, chucking something, and then you see the change. This is kind of like a little behind the scenes. Hopefully that helps. Definitely check it out. Use it. I'll talk more about that in a bit. This is kind of a little field trip of all the layout tools. This is a really good one. You're just inserting an extra measure. You might be writing an exercise. So I could highlight this bar, and it won't cut in the middle. It'll go in the beginning. This could be useful if you need a count off. Maybe you're going to create a tempo track. Well, not a tempo track, but you might need a click at the beginning, or you're just going to change something. So watch this. I click the measure, and now I have one extra measure. Now what about if I click on this bar? I'll go way over here. So where will that click? Will it click at the very, very beginning or right before that half note? So I click there, and it goes before the measure. So keep that in mind. I don't use it that often, but if you click on this bar line, it will give you a measure before that full measure. Got it? All right, two other things that I want to show you that's really important. I'm going to just go ahead and bring this back to its native, almost native way, is stretching a measure. There's a few different ways to do it, and I took a photo, and I'll probably put it up on the screen. But if I just want to if I have like a lot of notes or lyrics, and I might need to make a measure bigger, I'm just going to go to my bracket. It's kind of underneath the delete. It's kind of underneath the minus and plus. So I go to the left bracket, and that will make that smaller. Big time saver. As you can see, that's making that smaller, but you're cat and mousing it. The other measures are larger. So that might be something you need to do. And it changes the whole score. So if I do that in the score, by the way, this is flute 1, I have the part open. Will the part change? And it doesn't. So that is awesome on MuseScore. There's a lot going on that we don't know about. Oh man. So there is that, the layout tool, stretching. I use it often. I don't get too carried away. I think it's like another fine-tuning thing. Let's say you only want, for this score, 4 measures per page. What we're going to do is go to Format, and we are going to go down to Measures per System. In this case, it's a score, so it is a page, and that's why I said that, but it's also a system. I don't know what I said. We'll go, I think I said 4. So now watch what happens. It didn't do it because, old school Jim here, you have to Command or Control A. Sorry about that. Measure per system, 4, now it will switch. There it goes, and this is a pretty big score. Now that is super useful if you know what you're doing. You've already narrowed everything in. Not always will that be helpful, but you can also, I'll go ahead and Command Z that. I am now just going to highlight up to like measure 8. So from that point, I'll have the shift down, and then I'm just going to take those measures and put 2 measures per page. Why would you do that? Well, not too sure unless if it's a separate part with piano or some crazy stuff. So what has happened is I've only done what I selected for 2 measures per system, or in this case, per page, because there's just a lot of instruments. It's a full band arrangement. So that is very useful. I would caution you when you do this, though, you know what you're doing and you have an idea, because you can, if you have a very big score, you might want to copy the score first or name it something else like engraving trial, because sometimes you do one thing, there's another thing, and then you get lost and you start looking at parts. You'd be surprised the havoc that can happen when you're doing this. You want to be patient too. You don't want to cram doing this. You want to find the time when you're doing this, just like when you're learning an instrument or composing. Just be kind to yourself. All right, I hope this helps. If it helps, I'm going to be a little more active on this channel. I'm going to try to get it monetized for 2026, so I'd appreciate your support. Every dollar goes to my family, so I appreciate it. And take care. Bye-bye.